This conference will now be recorded.
For the record, Siri, if you'll state your name and address. Okay, we should be all up and working. Counselor Kennard, could you unmute for just a moment? Let me just make sure that you're working.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. And see, we have Karen Sanders with us and Lewis with us as well. And caller 2 is us, I guess.
No, that could be somebody else. Just calling in.
Okay, just someone calling.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we will see what we have here. All right, we are all present now. We're going to start the meeting at 9:04 a.m. Let the meeting be called to order. Let the minutes reflect that Counselor Kennard is joining us by GoTo or whatever this program is called, GoTo meeting. And Counselor Roebuck and myself are present. Counselor Oropesa is not here this morning. So approval of minutes from July 1, 2021. Is there any corrections that we need to consider from any of the counselors? Counselor Kennard, did you have any corrections for the minutes?
You want to approve the agenda first?
No, sir.
We don't have to.
And Counselor Roebuck just caught me. I didn't approve the agenda, so let's go ahead and approve the agenda. I'm just going to this too quickly. Go ahead.
Sure, no problem. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented and the minutes from July 1, 2020.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No corrections to minutes. They'll stand as approved. Non-action items from page 5. Is there anything we're discussing there?
Just real briefly, Mr. Chair, councilors, as we have in the past, I just want to report on the GRT for July. And again, just keep in mind that even though our budgeted amount was at $3 million and our GRT came in at 2.8, we did get notice from Taxation and Revenue Department that they were going into a switchover in their system. And they were a couple of days short on the collections that was being deposited to the entities. So that may explain a little bit of that negative variance. We're hoping that in September, we'll see that recover up. And then of course in August, and then of course in September is when we're going to see our first distribution that includes internet tax. So we'll see probably a change on that as well. And this of course is just our monthly tracking of what we budgeted, what we saw for 21, and how that compares to what we're receiving now. And again, keep in mind that in July, it was those days that were short in the collection, but we'll continue with the trend and the tracking as we move forward in the fiscal year. And with that, I will pass it on to you, Juanita.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. I'm here to present the Convention Center collection report. So you can see we've ended under, obviously, fiscal year 20, which was part of the fiscal year 21 was COVID. We're still considerably under where we were in fiscal year 19, only collecting 170,374. Our occupancy is still significantly lower than where we are normally, but I do believe we are on the upward trend. If you look at the next slide, which is our lodgers tax collections, you'll see something very similar. Again, we're trending a little bit under fiscal year 19 numbers for this past couple of months. May actually we were slightly over fiscal year 19, but considerably lower than obviously our COVID black swan year. Still pacing at about 48%. Normal time of year, we're sitting anywhere between 65 to 70%. So we're still slightly, significantly, I guess, under where we should be. Hopeful that it will improve with things opening, but again, we're just kind of keeping a pulse on it as we're looking at the STAR report. Of course, we get that a month ahead of time. We had a slight uptick and we should end around 52 to 53% occupancy. And I'll stand for any questions.
Can we go back to that last slide?
Questions, comments? Anything?
I was like, always get the color straight in my brain.
The blue is
Yeah.
21,
Thank you.
the darker one. And then we did keep 18. We'll be removing 18 in this new fiscal year, but we'll keep 19. And obviously 20 will be our black swan. I might change that color to the black one.
That's good, thank you.
Color.
Okay, all right. Anything, any questions, comments, Counselor Kennard?
No, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, moving on to, thank you, Juanita. All right, moving on to our resolution for budget adjustments for fiscal year 2022. Go ahead.
Me? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know who was going to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
This is Resolution 21XX for the budget amendment. The resolution to amend the budget for fiscal year 2022. Proposed amendment will increase revenue and expenditures as follows. 5,875,750. This is the American Rescue Fund money that has come in. The first half of it, the second half will be distributed within the year. So we're adding it to our new fund, and it'll be monitored separately. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Counselor Roebuck.
Thank you, Chair. So on the American Rescue Fund, this is, of course, is primarily a housekeeping item. I was wondering, Chair, if we will discuss in length at our next meeting, the allocations and such. Hopefully we'll be able to give a recommendation to the full council about this.
Yes, yeah, of course, our manager, Joe Nebb, is out of town right now, but after discussions with him, they were trying to finalize all the loopholes that the government's requiring that we have to walk through to ensure what each of the levels are and what we can actually do with the money. So they were looking at that. So I think that there was the potential that was going to be coming to us soon for some final information. So I think in our next meeting, that should not be a problem to come forward and get that.
That's right. It shouldn't be a problem. And we have some of those guidelines already. And again, as you mentioned, this is a housekeeping item. The next is just, of course, the details of the expenditure of the funds.
Sure. Remind me how long we have to spend the money.
December of 2024.
Yeah. Okay.
First half.
All right. Okay. Which of course, we don't need to take that long for things that we need to do for our community for sure.
We certainly won't, but I had originally planned on making an amendment to this budget amendments concerning the tennis court issue that I know staff and I have been talking about, and other councilors have been talking with staff about to move that project forward. Based on the way this is worded, and that's the only item, I would hate to complicate this.
Okay.
Abnormally, I think that I'll work with the city manager and mayor and see if we can't just get it taken just straight to council versus putting out this, because I think as I'm looking at this now, I think that it would create, and it will not be as easy as I thought it would just to add it to this, even though I think this would be an appropriate place to add it as an amendment to the budget, but especially because some of the wording in here we'd have to change, and that will get messy. And but it is my intention to either work with either through counselors or with to get the city manager to put it on the full council agenda, or either 5 counselors, full council, or get the mayor, one of those 3 ways to get that onto the full agenda, so we can go and get that budget adjustment. But the numbers that we still have on that is that 170.
Yes, sir. Second page, 174.
Yeah. So, and I mean, just since it's finance related and it's budget amendment related, I'm planning on hoping to bring something to council to go ahead and get that 174 allocated for the tennis courts. But again, I know that I talked to staff about potentially doing it at this point, but again, as I'm looking at this, I think it's going to be unduly complicated, and it's going to have to be discussed in council anyway. So let's not mess this up. And if I can't get the mayor or city manager or 5 counselors to put it on there, then Mitch probably shouldn't be on there anyway. So thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. So I have the resolution before us as presented, which would include the budget amendment to add the additional revenues of $5,875,750. Expenses at the same from the American Rescue Fund monies. Do we have a motion?
Certainly. Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend to the full council Resolution 21XX budget adjustments for FYE 2022 budget.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to send to full council the resolution for amending the budget for this fiscal year of 2022 by increasing the revenue and offsetting the expense. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to the next item, sell certain surplus personal property.
I am not Robert Glenn. I am Becky Hicks, but since Robert is on vacation, he and I work closely together on this. This is just a housekeeping item to present to you a monthly resolution to dispose of our surplus property. It's going very well on the internet. I've been preparing documents to tell how much each vehicle is worth and equipment is worth based on research that we do on the internet. And then it also includes an item from the Green Estate donation to the library, in case you don't know. Last year, or maybe the year before, we received a donation from someone who passed away to the library of his home and a vehicle and some other little things inside the home. And so that's on this one. And then it also includes the exhibit for things that are under 2,500 and things that are over 2,500. I'll stand for any questions I may or may not be able to answer.
You're not him, you're only an actor portraying him on a Lifetime movie. Okay.
The only things I would add, Spicky doesn't have the paperwork, but in your packet, you do have the Exhibit A and B. And as you will note on the form of Exhibit A and B, Robert included additional pieces of information there where he added, we had the depreciated value, estimated value, auction reserve, and the minimum price. In one of our prior meetings, there was a question of whether one item that was actually listed under the list on Exhibit B with a value of over had a lesser amount. This kind of provides a little additional information. It includes, as Becky mentioned, how successful some of the sales have been, provided that report on the public surplus as well. Just wanted to share that additional information with the committee and council.
All right. All right. I'm comfortable with this one.
Consent.
Give it a try.
Yep.
Go to consent. So, all right, if we have entertain a motion.
Certainly. Bring it back to I need to put the agenda. Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend to full council to the consent agenda, Resolution 21XX, sale of certain surplus property.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second that we send to full council on the consent agenda at the next meeting, the resolution authorizing the disposal of certain surplus personal property as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, moving into the next one, consideration of the resolution to approve the City of Roswell financial commitment to fund Roswell Transit for the federal fiscal year, October 1 through September 30 of 23.
So this is a housekeeping item. Every year I come to you in August and I say, please fund us for the next.
Now, who are you now?
I am transit.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm actually Becky Hicks. Yes.
All right.
Of course, you understand from previous years that the state of New Mexico is a pass-through entity for us to receive our federal funding from the FTA through the grant 5311 funds. As the NMDOT administers this fund, every August, they make us get an idea of what we want to spend for the next coming year. And their fiscal year, of course, is October 1st through September 30th. So we don't exactly track with you guys the same way. Now we present this to you, get approval, and then we give it to them, and then they make the decision about how much we will actually get. So this is really a rough estimate. So this is just part of the normal application process. They make us get a resolution from the council committing to take care of us financially. This year, we're asking for roughly $770,000 local match money for transit for that fiscal year, October 2022 to September 2023. And I will stand for any questions. There's a brief summary on what we are asking for as far as administrative, operational, and capital requests. I didn't give you any kind of details because, again, it's very rough estimate. They're gonna change it, manipulate it, make the decisions. Also, if the census comes in next month and we have hit the 50,000 mark, this will all change because we will no longer be under New Mexico DOT. We'll be straight under FTA.
Okay.
So it doesn't change our percentages, but we're going to being rural, small urban, and that just changes the way we have to report.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from committee members?
I assume this is correct. Put it on the record that this is our matching has already been, it's part of the plan. In the budget we approved.
This is for,
But this is for the next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, that's why I asked.
That's why you just approved our
Got it.
budget, but this is for the next year.
Got it.
22,
Now I
23.
understand what you're saying. Now, thank you. No, that's all right. That's exactly what I asked. Great. Okay.
All right. If there's no other questions or concerns at this time, we will entertain a motion.
Are you okay with me presenting this to consent? Do you have a motion?
Give it a try.
Yep, great. Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend to council approval of resolution 21XX approving the city of Roswell financial commitment to fund Roswell Transit for the federal year, October 1st, 2022 to September 30, 2023 to the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that we send to full council to the consent agenda, the resolution authorizing the filing of the application to the New Mexico Department of Transportation for the funding assistance for the 22-23 fiscal federal year to include the amount of $770,192.80. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank both of you. Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'm going to play another part here.
There you go. Okay. Oh, you're playing another part. So all of you, we'll say all of you. Consideration and approval of the scope of work for RFP 22-004, which is the temporary employment services. Who's going to speak to us? All right.
Good morning. This is for RFP 22004, temporary employment services. An RFP is required to make available a pool of responsive contractors for performing temporary employment service for the city departments. As specified in section B, the primary purpose of this contract is to provide the city with any and all items pertaining to the provision of contract of temporary personnel that may be assigned from time to time to different departments. The request to approve the scope of work is Finance Committee for the convenience of timeline in order to take the RFP by August 22nd of 2021 after the city council approval. The award recommendation will then be taken to legal committee after that. And I will stand for any questions.
Okay. Just one thing I wanted to make clear that eventually this makes its way to legal committee. So absolutely. Want to make sure we all understood that. Any questions or discussions? Doing a lot of housekeeping.
Yeah, so temporary employment services, what departments would this generally be affecting?
All
Parks and Rec is very heavily influenced by them. We use them in multiple.
This is like ITS Quest type?
Yes.
Okay. And so we're trying to put together a pool of, for lack of a better term, ITS Quest companies to work with.
And there's other companies out there that also provide temporary services.
Okay.
If they're selected as well, then we'll
I think
have
that's
more than one.
A larger pool to choose from.
Yes, I think competition is great, helps us get better prices. I like that. So that's all. That's your.
All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I moved that we recommend to the full council approval of scope of work for RFP 22004 temporary employment services. Since it was supposed to go through legal, let's go ahead and just leave it to the without, not to the consent, but just the full council.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have a motion and a second that we send the scope of work for the temporary employment services to full council's regular agenda as presented. Any more comments, concerns? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, let's look at the expenditures for outfitting the police vehicles to Code 3 service in the amount of $105,127.72.
I am not Joe Smith. I am Becky Hicks.
All
You're going
right.
to know my name really well. Okay, so we purchased, thanks to the council, 10 new Dodge police pickups, and now we have to outfit them to be fleet vehicles for patrol. The spotlight came from the dealership, but the rest of it, the emergency lights, sirens, control box, barrier partitions, and Nerf bars have to come from Code 3. And so that's what you're approving today. The cost to outfit those 10 police Dodge pickups is $105,127.72.
What is a Nerf bar?
A Nerf bar is something for if you roll over, protects the driver.
Okay, I'll take your word on that.
But as crazy as the traffic is, it could happen. I mean, I've seen rollovers, in-town rollovers. It's not unheard of.
All right. Chief, would you like to say anything about this? I know you're excited to get these in your fleet.
We probably don't need four-wheel drive pickup trucks, although they do outlast the other vehicles. But they were the only thing available, and it's just a shortage of vehicles, as you all know, with the prices that you've seen out on the market. We grabbed them. As soon as we saw them, we scooped them up, and they're a specifically made vehicle for police service. They're not pursuit vehicles. They're built for police service. So I think it'll be nice. We have a mixture over there of different vehicles. The other thing is not the reason why we got the trucks. We got the trucks based on availability and need. But obviously, we're getting a lot of complaints of OHRVs, and I wouldn't want to charge if you're going off-road. I'm just saying that. Anyways, I think we'll get a lot of durability out of the trucks, and I also think they have an actual value after the police service is done if the city wants to go that route. I think a truck is more purposeful than a sedan.
It definitely is.
Well, and you never need the four-wheel drive until you need the four-wheel drive. And you're glad to have it. Okay.
I thank the council ahead of time.
What's that?
I thank the council ahead of time.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, comments from committee or staff?
Just the one question, that this is already budgeted.
It is.
Okay, that's all.
All
Yes,
right.
it's already in the budget. This is a housekeeping item because of the cost.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. With not hearing any more, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend full council to authorize the purchase. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong line here. Move to full council to approve the expenditure for outfitting of police vehicles to Code 3 service in the amount of $105,127.72.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second for the approval of the expenditures for outfitting the police vehicles to Code 3 services in the amount of $105,172. and 127 and 72. Full council, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. For the record, if you need anyone to help you drive one of these back, please let me know. Got 10, I think I know 10 counselors who might be glad to go up in a shuttle bus somewhere and help you bring these back, all right? But for the record, mine will be getting back about 30 minutes slower than everyone else's, I'm sure. I don't like speed, but anyway. All right, let's move on forward here. At this time, authorization to purchase the one new 5-yard international dump truck in the amount of $100,213.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members. Here this morning to request authorization to purchase a new 5-yard dump truck for the water maintenance department. It was budgeted in the FY22 budget. Purchase price is $100,213. This is being purchased off the statewide purchasing agreement. Lead time delivery is approximately 10 months, which is about April or May. Takes a long time to get these in. They build them up to spec, so it takes a while to get them in. With that, just ask you to consider recommending an authorization to purchase 5-yard dump truck for the water.
I was just about to pick on you.
Okay.
For us just passing a budget. Give to her. I was just gonna pick on you. But you do need to hurry because.
That's why we got it in as quick as we could. We actually had this on the committee before, prior to, we were hoping the budget got approved. That way we'd have it ready.
Ready
To
to
get it passed and present it, get it ordered.
All right. That's hard to believe, but I guess, yeah. People don't realize, so if we were in emergency, where there was just absolutely nothing, we were in big trouble. So, all right. Well, it's not passed yet. So let's.
Right.
All right. Any questions or discussions, or I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the purchase of one new 5-yard international dump truck in the amount of $100,213 to the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. A motion and a second that we send this full council to consent agenda on the purchase of the new truck that we will see sometime next year, hopefully. I feel almost like we're ordering out of the old Sears and Roebuck catalog. I don't remember that. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. Consideration of the authorization to purchase one John Deere 50G excavator, one John Deere 544L wheeled loader, and two John Deere 310SL backhoes in the amount of $446,726.52.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, me again, committee members. Here to request authorization to purchase new equipment from Four Rivers Equipment. And this was budgeted in the water maintenance budget for FY22. And this is from Four Rivers Equipment. We did kind of bundle these up as one. We got cost savings. We got a discount on that. You'll see it highlighted. It's in the packet on the back sheet where we saved. Let me get on this real quick. $9,750. And that is on the wheel, the John Deere wheel loader, and then save additional on the backhoes. On Mini X and $4,650 on the John Deere backhoes. So it was by bundling them all together, and it's from the same company that we're purchasing the equipment, we're able to save additional funding on that. Total price is $446,726, and that is $20,600 under budget. The John Deere 50G excavator is $68,992. Two John Deere 310 SL backhoes were $101 and $101,105 each for a total of $202,211. The John Deere 544L wheel loader is $175,522. And purchase is off of the CES contract, and lead time delivery is approximately 120 to 160 days. And with that, staff just recommends sending this to full council for recommendation of purchase of this equipment. And with that, I stand for any questions.
All right. We get to see these a little earlier.
A little quicker, this is better.
Questions, comments?
I wish that they would bring pictures next time, but because I bet these look pretty cool, but. If you bring pictures next time.
Oh, yes, sir. Sure will.
I just want to know when you got them. I want to go out there.
Yeah, that too.
Well, after we purchase them, we'll bring pictures to you. How's that?
How's that?
And next time we'll have it ahead of time.
Okay, no problem. All right, any discussion, comments? I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize the purchase of one John Deere 50G excavator, one John Deere 544L wheeled loader, and two John Deere 310 SL backhoes in the amount of $446,726.52 to the full council.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second to send the purchase. I'm not going to mention it again. We're just going to say of all the items just mentioned, in the amount of $446,726.52. Any other questions or discussions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Could you tell me, motion passes. Tell me once again how much to say under budget this was, how much?
It says 20,000.
$20,600.
I thought it was about 20.
$20,600 under budget.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Moving on to the next item, authorization to approve the new Caterpillar scraper in the amount of $907,410.12 from Wagner Equipment.
Becky Hicks, Fleet. So I don't know if you were aware, but we had an accident at the landfill on April 16th. Unit 350 was coming down the road off of the landfill hill and got the rear off of the road and it rolled over. Here's the picture. So we sent it up to El Paso and they analyzed it and said that probably it rolled 4 to 5 times. And so they would not certify the cab any longer. In addition to that, it had a lot of undercarriage damage. And so they have totaled the vehicle. The insurance is going to give us about $355,000 based on an estimate that Wagner Equipment sent to the insurance company. And from those funds, we need to purchase a new one. This has not been previously budgeted. This is something that will require a budget amendment. The new one is $907,410.12. So when you net that together, we're asking for a budget amendment of $552,410.12 for fiscal year 22 out of the solid waste fund. The ending cash balance that you approved from the budget was $5.9 million. So there is cash available for this purchase, but again, requires a budget amendment. And I'll stand for any questions.
Couple of things. Number one, was the employee okay? Everything?
The employee was fine. If you saw from the picture, the cab was not dented. It was not. The glass didn't break. One window popped out. So that stands to how well Wagner or how well Caterpillar is built, right? To roll that many times and then still protect the driver. He was wearing his seatbelt and he was wearing his hard hat. And so he was shaken, obviously, but he did not get ejected from the vehicle, nor was he injured.
Okay. Glad about that for sure. Number two, how old was the equipment?
The equipment was a 2005 model, I believe.
My goodness, you got made me happy.
It
in the next. I was thinking it was the extra donut.
I think it's a 2005 model but it was completely refurbished in 2018.
Okay.
And the way that works with a Caterpillar is they give it a new VIN tag and it's supposed to be then that model. So it should be a 2018 model. So we believe that the estimate from the insurance was actually low, but.
Which was my next question, and I don't know who has that answer. Do we have the opportunity like we do with homeowners insurance and different things to have that challenge, to have it reconsidered and reevaluated?
I could find out for you, but that is a Kathy Lauer question, unfortunately.
We can find out. And if it's appealable or what we can sure
I'd
pursue.
definitely like to at least take that opportunity. I mean, surely there's an appeal process. I think I'm assuming y'all need this equipment.
Yes. We're here and available for any kind of question you have. Fernando Valdez is the landfill supervisor. He oversees the landfill. Me and him were actually there on site within 5 minutes of the incident.
I'm just grateful our employee was okay. He was wonderful. And, so I'm assuming this is equipment. How long is it going to take to get this one?
They have it. It's ready to go.
Hey, what are you doing, man? I need to talk to these guys.
They're behind John Deere. We're behind Caterpillar.
Okay. So where will this be coming from?
El Paso, Texas.
Okay. All right. And so I'm assuming this is a piece of equipment we need pretty quickly to keep our operations.
So this part of the equipment is a couple of it's one piece of about 4 pieces of equipment that actually work together. We're introducing a brand new a 3D productivity monitoring system that actually monitors the equipment and how we're going to build a new cell. To extend the life of the cell, this equipment is vital for the cover that we use every day for the garbage. So that's why it's a critical item we brought to you.
Okay. So I'd like, Mr. Mayor, go ahead. I didn't realize you walked back in. Sorry.
What happens to the damaged equipment? Do we retain it or does it get turned over to the?
No, we're not going to retain this one because of, we have to pay for it out of our insurance proceeds in order to keep it. Plus it's in El Paso, so it's another like almost 20,000 to get it back here.
32,000.
Oh, excuse me, 32,000.
Just for transport.
Okay, I just wondering about the parts being.
We could use them, but all things considered, we decided not to.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, if we could challenge them and get more money, like 518,000, which is what we think that it's worth, we might reconsider that.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So whatever process we have to go through that, whether that's with our attorneys or whatever, I don't know. But I don't think that we hold up. We need the equipment. We need to move forward. But I think that we definitely move forward. Our authorization of allowing for this money is not an authorization of acceptance of the insurance.
No.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments? I'm sorry, Councilor Stubbs, you're way behind me. I've not reached out. I try to reach out to other councilors that are present. So, okay. Just speak up anytime. I'm
Just
sorry.
one piece of, just for purposes of the process. So in the budget, we do have enough in the budget because of the cell construction to purchase this equipment. If the full council approves it, we'll proceed forward with the purchase, but know that down the road, we'll come back with a budget adjustment resolution that would just replace the proceeds that we'll be using. But it will be going through that formality, housekeeping item.
Sure. Ultimately, where's the money going to come from? Will it come out of the landfill?
It will come out of the land. That's correct. Yes.
And then I have a question for the chair. You didn't offer to drive this back from.
No, sir, I didn't. Nope.
Because I think that would be a benefit. If they're charging 30,000 for the one, maybe you could save us some money.
I could probably roll over that in the middle of the landing strip here at the airport. I'm not that good of a driver. Go ahead.
Well, in that case, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve, to authorize the purchase of a new Caterpillar 623K scraper in the amount of $907,410.12 from Wagner Equipment.
Second.
We have an motion and a second to authorize, to send to full council for authorization. You did not say consent on this one.
No.
Yeah, okay, good. Caterpillar scraper in the amount of $907,410.12 from Wagner Equipment. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. Motion passes. Consideration and approval to award roof care, the Roswell Test Facility, A.O. Smith Building Roof Replacement Project in the amount of $627,131.42, utilizing the CES procurement agreement.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, good morning. We're recommending the award of the Roswell Test Facility Buildings Roof Project to Roof Care. The RTF roofs are in need of immediate repair. All the damage and rains that we've had recently, and the roofs have surpassed their life cycle. These are increasing with each storm that passes through. We're starting to sustain some interior damage. It's imperative we can complete the work as soon as possible. The upfront cost for the project will be covered by the Capital Improvement Fund, with lease payments from leased property reimbursing the expense. We ask that you consider recommending to award roof care, the roof repairs in the amount of $627,131.42 utilizing CES procurement. On the screen, on this slide, these are the three buildings and the breakdown of that cost. And I stand for any questions.
So this will take care of every patch of roof we have out there.
That's correct, sir.
That was going to be one of my questions. I was assuming it would not. Okay. Another question I have, are we expecting, because of the life, I mean, this is far surpassed lifetime on these roofs, that we're not going to have anything from insurance to cover on any of this?
I don't know that we have any insurance claims on this. They're very old.
I was going to say this is a long time waiting. All right. Questions, concerns, comments from committee members?
And I think everybody's aware of this, but we did, what was it, like 4 months ago, renewed this lease.
Yes.
We brought them up to whatever market rates are, but we brought it up. And I think that this is exactly why, I think this is a really important to point this out. This is exactly why for the buildings, the city leases to businesses, whether it's here or the airport, is exactly why we need to bring our leases, and what we've been doing that over the past 3 or 4 years, bringing those leases up to date, is because you have these expenses come up, and then if we didn't have that, it's like this is a big chunk of money to eat for the city, and if we're not getting market rates for it, then basically effectively, where this is a subsidy for a business, which is not creating a fair playing field for all of our businesses. It's also not creating a fair playing field for our people who want to come here and build buildings. If we are providing under market rent for people. So I am glad that we have already renegotiated this, because I think that shows, and this is exactly why we've done that. So let's continue on that trend. And I appreciate all the work that staff's done over the past 3 years or 4 years, that we've really kind of gotten after that and had those hard conversations and made that transition. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend to full council the approval to award roof care, the Roswell Test Facility A.O. Smith Building Roof Replacement Project in the amount of $627,131.42, utilizing CES procedure agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that we send to full council on the regular agenda. The approval to roof care for the amount of $627,131.42 for the roofing at the test facility, A.O. Smith Building out east of town. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Let's try to get through the last one here for the day, ranking the capital projects for 23 through 27 infrastructure.
Chair, members, just real briefly, this is the annual plan that all municipalities have to kind of develop and submit to the state. As you can see, so it's the ICIP plan, and the state coordinated ICIP process encourages all entities to plan the development of capital improvement projects. And the plan covers a 5-year window. You can see the period is 2023 to 2027. The deadlines for this process, special districts, as you can see, those are all the different entity types that report to the state. Counties and municipalities are required to submit this plan by Friday, September 17th of 2021. And you have other categories in your citizen facilities and so forth. So the intent of the list was to allow for discussion and decision among staff and city council on which projects are prioritized for funding. Process or actions to consider, committee recommendation of the top projects and ranking to the full council, adoption of the FY 23-27 for submission in September. And then, of course, we use the same list to develop the legislative priorities for the 2022 legislative session that we turn in by December. So since we have all of the committees, last year as we'll be following the same process, each of the departments will present to the individual committees their list of capital projects. And this comes from the master list, which some of the departments have reviewed it, updated it, and some of them have made recommendations on ranking based on their opinions of which items are one through so forth. And then we will present that to all of the committees. We have the finance, public safety, infrastructure, general services, legal. And of course, last year we held a special meeting with the council when we had all of the projects listed on the wall. And then we had those color dots where everybody.
Is that the process considered for this year as well?
That's what we're considering, unless it is directed otherwise, whether we have it as part of the regular meeting or a special meeting. That's yet to be determined. So with that, Mr. Chair, committee members, the first list we have before you is public affairs, and I'll let Juanita Jennings present that.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is for public affairs.
It's a bigger list if you want to look at it.
We listed the first one for the visitor center LED sign, which is at the corner of 5th and Main. Currently, the lighting is not working. It does say greetings from Roswell, and I think we'll have an opportunity to share what's happening within our town on that corner by replacing our existing sign. Our second one obviously was our visitor center expansion. We are seeing great numbers. We're very excited to have a lot of people coming through the doors, but we are out of space. With COVID, we transitioned 100% to a retail operation of our city branded merchandise, as well as providing information. We've had a couple of leaks with the weather and flooding, and I appreciate facility maintenance support. This is one that was almost funded in fiscal year 22, so I appreciate that, and I'll be working with Trent to get that underway. Our next item is our wayfinding system. This is in public affairs, and it's specific for our attractions as well as public parking and a Roswell Air Center wayfinding where they will park, where the shuttle is, where car rentals are, zoo attractions, things like that. This is a bigger priority that you guys will see. It will be going to infrastructure at the end of this month for the design phase of it. We will be asking for funding to actually implement the wayfinding, and so that's why it's in our top 3 category. Number 4 would be our Air Center store. We had been operating pre-COVID out of the little old elevator shaft. It's like just kind of a little hole in the wall, really. And we had really great success. Again, that was pre-COVID, and COVID kind of changed the dynamic of it. But We see it as an opportunity as tourists and business partners are leaving and arriving to really showcase our brand and the things that we have to offer. Taking a souvenir, it would provide additional storage. Obviously, we need computer terminals and things like that. We've done it as a pop-up shop with our iPad, but that is something that we would like to have. The other idea that we have, and you'll see that there's 2 items listed. One of them is a trolley and one of them is a bus. Ideally, we'd love to have the trolley because I think we can really have a great downtown trolley ride going to different places of attractions, going to food venues. It's an offering that most communities do, and we don't do it yet. And I would love to partner with our local businesses and our restaurants in order to have an experiential experience for the visitors. The other items on there, obviously, as we're expanding video production, videography, and then our sports tourism office. And so that's what we really have as far as public affairs, tourism elements, and I will stand for any questions on this list.
A question on procedure real quick. So we're picking 2 of these from each, like we did last time, 2 of these from each department, then we'll have the unless I don't see that we'll change it the way we did it last time. And certainly on this whole ICIP process, we've been working through it over the past couple of years, and I do appreciate what staff has done to help wrangle the cats, so to speak, also AKA the city council, to kind of get us going in a direction on that. I think one thing about ICIP that I think I guess this is my opinion, is the ICIP is not necessarily ultimately the priority list of the city. It's the things that we want the state to fund for us. At least that's when I'm picking things. That's how I'm looking at it. So it may or may not be the most important projects, but these are the most important projects we feel like the state should be funding or can fund or politically are able to fund. So I didn't want to say that. But we are planning the same process again. And have we had anybody that you guys know of, as any counselors, anybody object to doing the same process again?
No, again, just because of the sheer number of projects that each of the departments has, I think if you look at just even by selecting the top 2, multiply that by the number of departments, we're going to end up with a list of 35 to 40 projects. And then those are prioritized even further. So we're asking at minimum at least 2 projects for each of the departments. And
so then on these projects, I think the ones that I feel, the one that I think that we should go after that really stands out to me is the tourism trolley. It's an idea we've been bouncing around a long time. I think it's something that makes a lot of sense. It certainly can help our festivals in addition to providing the tours. I would love to see that. Tourism trolley is something that we ask. It's the right size chunk, I think, number wise. I'd love to see that tourism trolley is something that we go after on the ICIP, go after legislative dollars on.
We had worked previously with our transit department. This is kind of some of the images of different ones that we had been looking at when we were getting different estimates, in case you wanted to see.
He mentions pictures and everybody for the president, they're all going through.
But we'll bring more pictures.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. And I think the other one that I think we should go after would be your number 3 up there, which is, especially since it's already in progress. I love that if we're going to the legislature and saying, hey, we've already done the legwork on this, we're ready to go, we just need the money. I like both of those. Those feel both really solid. We kind of know what we're going after. So it would be my recommendation to off this list 3 and 5. I don't know what the other counselors think.
Chair, I have a quick question. Can Juan go back 3 slides? Okay, yeah, that's the one I was looking for. 2 forward, sorry. I was just wanting to see which committees were going to be addressing which departments. Yeah, that's it. Okay, also looking at the ICIP, the first one, the visitor center LED sign, is that one that is also overlapping on the federal plan?
Yes, potentially, if it gets approved.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping we can work that out on that one, and that would give us the opportunity to go after, because I really think the trolley is a pretty amazing, something to have downtown. So those were my 2 questions. Thank you.
Okay. This isn't, you're not looking for a vote on this, are you?
We are looking for guidance of what the top 2, the committee endorses.
When it comes to these kind of things, I just don't get overly crazy on this kind of stuff. I listen to staff, see what staff thinks is best, and then when it comes to full council. So what you're wanting is a top 2, and then each of the other committees is going to get top 2s out of theirs, and then there's going to be a list made from that for
That's
council to choose from.
That's right.
Okay, so go back then, the committees. So,
Well, we're going to do 2 from each department.
That's correct.
So we're doing 6, but general services will make
A bunch.
18, however many that is.
From all those departments that report to the committees, yes.
Thank you.
yeah, do we need to do this through vote or just through consensus? What do you?
It's an action item.
Consensus is fine, just because it's not going to, this is not going to full council to approve what we just approved. I mean, it's just going to, so I when it comes to on this one, maybe I'll feel differently on something else, but I have no problem with what's just been suggested for the other 2. So just from consensus, just take that information.
So 3 and 5, or the wayfinding and the trolley.
Wayfinding is I will say that wayfinding is important to me. I've been frustrated over that for many years.
It will be going to infrastructure.
Do you have any pictures of the? I need
Yes.
to look at.
Those are private, but I do have them. I can email it to you, Becky.
I'm kidding.
And then have been in our committee meetings. It will be going to infrastructure as for the final design, and then it will be coming to finance September 2nd for funding of the implementation of the design specific for public parking in the downtown district, at the air center, bus stops, and then attractions. We've tiered it into 3 phases. Parks and trails is also included in there, and we're going to give you cost estimates for each phase depending on how much you would like to fund for that specific project.
All right. So just a question. So I understand, are we talking about tourism trolley or tourism bus is what y'all were talking about?
Trolley.
Okay. Doesn't matter to me. So, okay. All right. So y'all got direction from that one. So let's move to the next.
So 3 and 5.
This is the convention center list that we have. It's a little bit more lengthy. We did have one new one that we added that was part of kind of a rehabilitation. So obviously, number 1 will always be our bond. I don't think we would ask the state for that, but in order of how I look at it, that should be our number 1 payment. Number 2 is the new sewer line rehabilitation. So during the UFO Festival and the night of 4th of July, with the number of attendees that we had, our sewer line was overpowered. And so I've called facility maintenance and central control and just really want to thank them because it was a real emergency that night. And so since then, what they found is that we do need to repair the main sewer line that is underneath the pre-function of the convention center. So I listed that as number 2 because I do believe you have to have good working bathrooms if you're going to be hosting large events.
Let me stop and just say, did we determine if that is a placement fault? Was it when they put it in there, was it, or is it something that's just, it's old and needed to be?
It's more of an age thing. as the building has settled, the ground under it has settled, the line has started to dip and bow. And it's causing, it's causing it to back up and not flow efficiently. I think that we see it all throughout construction over time with the age of that line.
I think my disappointment with it, and it's not to staff, it's, staff didn't go over there and build the thing. We hired somebody to build the thing. But when we went through the process and got the financing, to be able to do this through the bed fee and moved forward for construction, that was one of the main things. I know several of us who've been around long enough said, okay, we really don't care how big these rooms are. Are the bathrooms going to work properly? Because we've had problems with bathrooms for how long? I mean, for years and years and years. We were assured by the company that was priority, and it just doesn't sound like it got fixed. So that's just sort of a disappointing part of it. But so I just sort of wonder if it was something, that building's not that old. Yeah, that part is, but the total rehab, did not know if it's something we had the opportunity to discuss with the folks who built it or not. But
it was, just to answer your question, it was before my tenure, so I'm not sure of those conversations, but. Did you have?
Yeah, where's this line run?
So it runs east and west. So there's the east set of restrooms, like before where you would go into the office area. It runs directly from that restroom west to the other restroom, out right the west side of the building. It's right in the pre-function.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, because that is, I mean, obviously we redid the whole building, but that is unfortunate as well.
So will the fix probably take tearing all that out, or is it going to be a reshift of reorganization of where it flows?
So we're looking at a couple different options. The carpet that is there is a snap together carpet. So we're not going to lose carpet and things. It can be pulled up, construction done. I think the idea right now is we're looking at removing a swath of carpet for construction, installing a containment system so all the dirt and debris and dust can stay inside there. They will have to cut the concrete and they don't necessarily have to remove the old line. We can abandon it, just go right next to it. Our goal is not to, because it would add cost to it, and it doesn't. We do it all the time, and replace that line. One of the other items, we did look at boring the line, which would essentially, we would dig a swath out in the parking lot, and they would go in and try to bore it. There were some obstacles there. The company could not insure us of that we would have the exact grade that we needed due to the distance that we had to go. They said if it was anything other than sanitary sewer, they would be able to do that because of the size of the pipe and the length. They wouldn't. So that kind of took that off the table, which would have been the best option because we'd have minimal work inside the building. So then we had to proceed to the traditional cutting of the concrete and installing new line, which will last for many, many years. Really the key to that new line, and I've seen it over years, is when they dig those lines, they don't go in and really tamp and bed down that bottom layer. They over dig, they over excavate, and that's where you get that bow effect. And I just think between that and time, it started to move. So, and it's just causing a substantial issue.
Well, on the plus side, maybe we'll find Jimmy Hoffa.
I would just add, Mr. Committee members, that the options that Trent described, those are being looked at, but I do want to just let you all know that there's even other options that our wastewater department has also, kind of looked at and given us, whether it's abandoning the line, capping it, and then rerunning it to the other side. But I think it's still fluid. We're looking at what is the best option for that fix, considering that, again, it's going to require some disturbance of the operation of that facility.
Well, we're taking a lot of time and conversation that I don't know where things will get to, but I know that that's got to, and I'm sorry I interrupted, so continue, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So that's why I put that as number 2. Obviously, we have to have good working bathrooms to operate a convention center. My number 3 was the LED lighting in the pre-function. So when you do have an event and you go in there, you see this nice, beautiful, bright new side. Unfortunately, the lighting on the older side was never updated when they did the remodel. And so in order to have just a nice look and feel as you come into the facility, I put that as a number 3 item. Number 4 would be our courtyard fencing. Obviously, with COVID, if we would have had a courtyard, we would have been able to maintain and continue to be open with, social distancing in mind. But I did that as a number 4. Also, because it is a revenue opportunity, we've had many requests to rent out the courtyard for a variety of different functions. That particular one is just for the fencing. If you go down a little bit more, our number 5 and number 6 is obviously the LED sign that's outside. We did get it working. We have work orders that are in there, and so just we got it working. Ideally, we would love a new structure at some point. The other side that did not get done.
Let me ask you a second, I'm sorry. You're talking about the LED signage, the big signs that are out front. Is that still the same LED?
Yes. They just added a new computer system to it.
Really? So adding a new computer. Okay, I just know a few companies that have that exact sign as well, and I didn't know that they had that option. So
Yeah, and just really would like to thank IT for helping us with that. They had to get a bucket truck, go into it, pull the computer out and rebuild it. And
what was the pricing on that? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was a little bit. I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Okay.
But it was necessary because now we're able to really market some different community activities and things that are happening. Number 5 on there is an interior storeroom to hold our alcohol and gaming. Currently, we're using a storeroom, but it's not equipped or large enough. It's doable right now, but ideally we would love something that can hold the product the appropriate way.
So is the gaming like roulette tables or what is?
No, well, yes, for that gaming, it's with the state alcohol and gaming.
I'm kidding with
you. Number 6, obviously I just talked about that. Number 7 is another thing that wasn't included when they did the remodel or rebuild. As you walk down the office space, you can see the carpet. Some of it's tore up. You see the foundation that I would love to get redone. If you guys don't know or are not aware, maybe you do know, the convention center is 2 stories. So in the office space, there's a second floor that has not been touched probably since it was built. And
it was Coca-Cola or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little creepy and scary up there. So we try not to go up there because it doesn't have proper,
it adds to the mystery of Rossville.
It does.
We used to have a little alien guy or something that looked in the window, and then they had Santa Claus that they put up there.
Yeah.
And they had a little alien that's looking out the window up there. Yeah.
The number 8 and 9 are the LED lights in the exhibit hall. So not in the pre-function, but actually in the exhibit hall. Some of them were not updated. And then the exterior entrance parking lot signage. This would probably be part of that wayfinding. We really want to display you've now entered to come to the convention center and to the museum. So that hopefully we can tie into the wayfinding. Office renovations, obviously we need carpet, paint, the walls probably need to be washed, things like that. And then window tinting just to conserve on energy. And then one thing I think that we added was a new washer and dryer system that would reduce the cost of our linens because we do currently take the linens out to get laundered after every single event. And we would need an industrial size washer and dryer, but that includes running electrical power and that would be where I would lean to my colleagues that are experts in that field.
So my 2 cents worth on, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's it. I'm done.
My 2 cents worth, if I have one, you're 1 and 2 is really where I think we need to be concentrating on myself. Those bathrooms, we don't have facilities, nobody's going to be utilizing the facility if they don't have facilities to use at the facility. So that's of course a concern, of course, through our COVID situation.
And I will say that the first one is already in the budget because that debt service is always in the budget. But it's part of what we have on the list because it's number one that we fund. So, aside from number one, again, we ask for the top two.
Chair.
Go ahead.
In having discussed this previously with Councilor Kenner, I think that the exhibit hall lighting is even more so than the pre-function lighting is important, just because we have that nice pre-function area, and then you go into the exhibit hall, and then you get the lighting has this really gymnasium feel, and it really takes it really is a bummer as far as the experience. I think that would be something that I would like to push. And I think the other, but the bathrooms is, if I were to do two, I would do that exhibit hall lighting and then the restrooms, of course. As far as like the things on this list, all these things that are important. I like all these things, but I think those are going to be your maximum impact for as far as like getting the most out of the facility. So that's what I would say that I guess that's number 2 and number 8.
Yep, great, thank you. Councillor Kennard.
Thank you, Chair. I would agree that the sewer line is vital to get that repair or replaced. And I did talk to Councilor Roebuck about the lighting there in the foyer that is pretty dim. And I think, I don't know about what kind of lighting is out there, but certainly something that we can make bright or dimmable in that area, depending on what kind of event is there, because it's just so dark. And it's not very inviting in the middle of the day when you don't get a lot of natural light in that area. So I do agree on those 2 items.
So Councilor Kennard, I need an understanding. You said in the foyer area, and I may be wrong. Councilor Roebuck, were you talking about in the actual
exhibit? Yes.
Councilor Roebuck's talking about exhibit area, and then you mentioned foyer area, which would be the pre-function area. So which one were you relating to?
So the area that I'm talking about is after you go through the entrance in the new section, right there before you walk into the doors into the large hall. That's the area that's the area that I'm speaking of.
And
which number is that? That's number
3. Which I was going to say is I know that when we were there at the last function there, it was rather dark in there comparably. And I think, when that lighting was put in, it was put in with the assumption because there's so much glass and, that in that pre-function area at one time where that transition area is now, there's so much glass in there. So there was lots of sunlight coming through. So it's looking like the number 2 and 3 is what Councilor Kennard is in favor of. Councilor Roebuck is okay with that, and I'm fine with that. So we move forward.
Okay.
There's consensus on that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have anything else?
And the last list we have before you is the IT list. And you want to just address that? So on that list, IT is not here, but I did reach out to him, and the only item he's requesting is the last item, which is the server replacement. Again, this is part of his replacement program for that equipment. And as you can see, the item estimated cost is $50,000. That's the only item he's requesting as a priority under IT. All other items, I know they're working on the dispatch. That's an ongoing project. It's already been funded, and there are some stations that are being replaced.
All right. Comments?
I have no opinion on this. I don't see us putting anything from the IT onto the list anyway, but just because it's not the kind of thing that typically we're going to get
And
funded.
again, and realize that when we develop the ICIP list that goes to the state, some of the items like may end up at,
Yeah.
2027, which is what we have to,
Sure.
sometimes we have to develop the 5-year list.
Counselor Kennard?
I'm in agreement with that, with that item. Like you said earlier, I think that the staff is aware of what issues are vital and important within their department. Thank you.
You don't want me deciding anything to do with IT, so go with his recommendation there, okay?
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from committee members, staff, public participation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Larry Conley, 2815
Canto Drive.
I didn't see it on any of this list, and I'm not sure where it should be, but at the last one of the county meetings, I brought up ETC. Rita and I are both on the ETC. I've been on it for, 6 years now. We have condemned more properties, buildings, lean-to houses. And the ETZ has no financial, we can only say we should do this. And actually, the city has the street going to the airport. The county has, 25 feet on the side? That's the county responsibility. Well, it's a county and the city don't always agree. And I requested that the county set aside on their ICIP $300,000 for cleanup of these TZ properties. They aren't going to do it. Probably won't. They've asked for 50. Lewis has asked for 50. I've asked for 300. Now, if the city would say, why don't we do 300,000? County does 300,000, and the city manager and the county manager can sit together and they can decide how best to spend the $600,000. But I think if the city and the county each said, okay, this money, they do it. We might get it from the state legislators. And, if the city said, hey, county, we want this building torn down, you're going to take it to the dump, and here's what the dump charges are. We have 300,000, 600,000 to spend jointly. Be a way of cooperation between the city and county. Because, hey, driving in from the airport or driving out to the airport, that is damn embarrassing. And we have to do South Main, probably a couple of years later, we're going to have to do Sunset. I don't know if you've ever driven between South Main and Sunset on the road where the school is at. I can't remember which. That is terrible. The housing, and it's going to have to be a joint agreement between the city and the state working together on a pool of money. I'm done.
Thank you for your.
Rita, you have any?
West Second for 20 years now, and nothing is being done.
Okay.
And that can be TZ.
All right. Counselor Stubbs, you act like you were going to say something earlier.
I sort of have a question, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. On the interpretation of the ICIP, I mean, this becomes our priority list, doesn't it? And it's used, we show on it, federal funding, state funding.
Mr. Chair.
It's much more than just taking it to the state legislature.
Well, it becomes a priority list of the projects that would like to seek funding for from the various sources, whether it's the state legislature, the different departments, even at the federal level. Some agencies do require a project to be listed on the ICIP, and this is what helps us to be able to say, yes, that project made it to that list. This is where it is. So it helps us in that sense, but it is, again, when we submit the projects to the legislature, as we have in the past, the council has opted to select top 3, top 4, even top 5. That's what we end up submitting. And even those projects may come from this list as well, because the legislature will ask us, where is it in your ICIP?
Well, I know more specifically, and tell me if I'm wrong, that DFA, local governments, requires anything that the state legislature approves be on the ICIP list. So it's critical to do that. But my impression was that this is used many different times and places throughout the year. Mike's shaking his head.
It is, and a lot of the questions would be, is it on your, not where it's placed?
Right.
Is it on your list? That's all they care about, is it's on your list.
So my point being, the ICIP is used throughout the year, and it's critical to a lot of different funding and priority-based decisions.
Right.
Okay.
What the legislators had asked us a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, was that please provide us your top 5. I think it was at that time they asked us.
I think it's been longer than that they wanted.
Yeah, but one of the meetings I was in,
Yeah.
begged us, please, we want your top 5.
I just don't want, I mean, I think it's important to realize and to really spend time on the ICIP because it is our priority list. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Jeff, something else?
Yeah, no, and certainly it's a very important list and it doesn't form a lot of things. I don't think the city manager uses this to delineate the ICIP, this list, can't say 4 letters, as that this is the source, this is the will of the council to do these projects in this order. My discussions with Joe, that's not how he views the list.
That's not what I'm talking about either. So.
Well, I am simply providing my understanding and clarification. So, well, I wasn't asking for you to answer it. I was simply stating that, as I stated before earlier, that this is not the city council, in my understanding, speaking with staff, the way that they use this list, they don't use this as this is the priority list. I mean, the tennis courts is a great example of that. Even though it was on ICIP list last year in the top 5, that didn't automatically meant for Joe that this needs to be funded. And we got to find a way to do this. And so I think we have to be careful when we say it's a city priority list. It's not we don't use it as a way to prioritize our projects. It is one voice in the way that staff decides what projects they present in the budget and what things get funded.
Okay. Anything else? Let's adjourn at 10:27. The state asked for the 5 and often they sometimes. Yeah.